Welcome back to the Seraphiend podcast. I am Seraphine Arocha. I hope you are watching as well on my YouTube channel. I'm here today with Chelsea Atia. Hello.
Hi.
Oh my gosh. We are in the marathon long stretch end of The Real Housewives. We're in part 3. And let's just start off right off the bat. We've got the Hilton sisters we ended on and we begin on.
Yep.
So take me into it.
So we're talking about, so the last few seasons, Kathy was not on Housewives and Kyle was, and we all knew that there was some kind of sisterly drama going on because of American Woman, that Kyle kind of loosely based off of her childhood. And we know that it was brought up in the beginning of this episode of the reunion. And at the end of the last episode, Kathy gets very, very emotional talking about her mom, very, and I totally understand that. And we just see that I kind of get a glimpse of why Kyle doing anything about their childhood was so triggering for Kathy, because she just wants to protect her mom so much. So I understand that, but Kathy has not seen an episode. She saw the trailer. And
which to me was interesting because as someone who I actually watched it, because I've always been a Alicia Silverstone fan.
Me too.
I liked it. I thought that it didn't feel like it was autobiographical. It felt like it was inspired by the life of their mother. And honestly, they didn't paint her in a bad light. They painted her in kind of that naive transition from the 1950s to the 60s of if you got divorced and then, here you are with your kids, you're in Southern California, and then it's this, well, how do you make life work when you've been ingrained as a 1950s housewife?
Yeah.
And there's some scenes where she's partying and she's drinking a little too much. She's having some promiscuous relationships. But aside from that, I mean, I don't know. I liked the character. She was she was like, one of those heroines that was flawed on the show. So unfortunately, I think sometimes we can be too precious about things. I can only imagine how much I would be in my own head if I was in the public eye.
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
So were my sisters. It would be different.
It would be. And I think for Kyle, it was just like, you didn't even give it a chance. Like, you were so mad at me and I just wanted you to see that it wasn't anything bad. And Kathy didn't really give her that option. But the good news is, the girls are good now. They're having holidays together again. And I think it was, according to Kyle, that it was the cousins that really missed having the family together. And I can totally relate to that. Like, not having our family together on holidays would be absolutely heartbreaking. So to get them together, I feel like it's always the kids that bring families back together.
I think you are so dead on with that.
Yeah.
I really do. Because I think as we get older, sometimes we'll fracture off of each other. And the ability to bounce back in relationships is less and less because time is more precious.
Right.
And I think that kids give you a reason to reconsider your own stubbornness, which they both agree. And then I like how they brought in Kim into the conversation as well.
Yes.
I love how Andy tried to take credit for it, being like, well, the show brought you back. And I'm like, yes, but the show also fragmented them quite a bit.
From season 1 with that limo scene with Kim and Kyle. I think we referenced that last episode. But I would love to see Kim make an appearance, and it sounds like there's a little bit of foreshadowing going on with Kyle saying, I don't know, maybe. I guarantee you Kyle is begging Kim to get on the show now that she has her cell phone number.
I know, right? It was so funny. And I also like the fact that when they were showing some of the clips, they were showing kind of side by sides of the personalities of the sisters, and you really can see similarities between Kim and Kathy.
Yeah, Kathy being on the show. Okay, when Kim was on, we were like, who is this quirky person? Like, who is this? And now it makes sense with Kathy. She's just so, it feels like uninhibited, and like in her own world.
Yeah, it's funny. The one moment, I don't know if you caught on, but I was watching actually with my husband Johnny, and he's funny because he'll dip in and out of the show.
Yeah.
And he loves those real estate shows, so Mauricio is on his radar.
Yes.
So there was a moment in it where Kathy said something about, seeing the real Kyle on the show.
Yes.
And they swept that under the rug so quickly.
I
was like, whoa.
They did.
And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that she's been on for 12 seasons?
This is 11.
11
this is
seasons.
11 season.
Oh my Lord.
Since the beginning. She's the only OG now.
She's postured. She knows.
Yeah.
I mean, she knows.
She's got it down now.
Yeah. She knows what to edit out. She knows her angles. I think she's got her little notes going into whatever scene.
Plus, she's really good friends with Kris Jenner, so I feel like there's a little coaching there too.
I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
Good call on that. So we go a little bit further into the conversation, and it was interesting to see Garcelle pop her head up in this particular conversation because when she was listing off her 7 brothers and sisters, she forgot her sister Carol.
Yeah.
And little did we know that Garcelle and her sister had a little bit of strife between the two of them. And I thought it was a sweet little moment of Garcelle being vulnerable and letting us see into her family world in a way that wasn't just produced by the housewives.
Right.
Because there's no way that, I think the production company could really know if she was having a quarrel with her sister because her sister, I don't know if they're still in South Africa or not.
Right. Haiti,
that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. So I don't know. It was cool to see that side of her. I'd love to see more.
Me too.
Of Garcelle letting that wall down, but I also understand, she was kind of vulnerable this season because she didn't have Denise.
I think this is her second season. I think all of them are coming back next season. I heard a little bit of a rumor about that. And I think she's just going to get even more comfortable sharing because there's not a lot of drama with her out there. Like, I think she's safe now. I think when you first come into this Housewives, you see it all different kinds of drama and good and bad, people having great success, people that have like huge life-changing for the worse moments,
and they're digging for dirt. When you first come on that show, the producers, all the women are looking to see if you have skeletons in your closet.
If you have a skeleton in your closet, it's going to come out.
And by season 2 or 3, you know that you've been on the show at least 3 years, so then people are like or maybe 2.5 years depending on like how quickly they circulate. So maybe she's not feeling so hot under the collar anymore.
I totally think so.
Yeah, I'm looking
we'll
forward
see
to
more
that.
of her, I'm sure.
I agree. Then we have this really interesting montage of Crystal.
Yes.
I was so glad that they gave Crystal what she deserves. It was such a funny, like, you want to be friends with Crystal.
Yeah, I like Crystal a lot.
They really showed her best parts. I love that they revisited that 2 truths and a lie.
Yes.
With her being like, was I arrested? Was I a part of an escort service? Was I propositioned to be a madam?
Yes.
And then she divulges this awesome story, which makes you understand why someone like her, she's a beautiful woman. I'm sure she's a successful woman, but to really catch the eyes of super uber successful people, I feel like you have to be a risk taker.
Yeah.
And, traditionally, stereotypically, I think a lot of people assume that Asian Americans are conservative. They're, they're, especially Asian women.
Right.
And it's so fun to see her kind of bust through a lot of different stereotypes this season.
Yes.
And loving her voice. She brought up she really stood her ground once more when they tried to come right around again to Sutton and the coat.
Yeah.
And she just, was like, look, you've got to understand the timeline. We had just had that uncomfortable conversation about not seeing color. She goes, I still have my issues with my eating disorder. And, at the end of the day, it is what it is. We've come around full circle to it. I still support the fact that I will use the word violated.
Yeah, in the moment. I think her and Sutton have definitely made up. I know that they're friends now. The way that they were communicating at the reunion, looking at each other, all that stuff. I think it was uncomfortable for both of them to bring that back up because they've moved past it. I loved that Crystal, we got more into we got to know her a little bit better, because not only did she talk about that, but she also talked about how she wanted to come on this series because she felt like there needed to be representation for the Chinese and Asian community. And in that, she thought she'd be perceived very well, but she's actually gotten tons and tons of hate mail daily.
It's sick. It's
hundreds
so
of messages a day.
I looked up a few of them just to see, like, all right, well, what's bad?
Yeah.
It's so bad. I won't even repeat it on the microphone.
Terrible. Like, I don't understand why people go out of their way to make someone else feel bad just for being who they are.
They even made comments about her children.
That's
learning.
Terrible.
I mean, like, how could you make fun of a child learning their ancestral language? I mean, it's so.
I think that is
gross.
the coolest thing.
I think it's
the coolest.
It's the coolest thing she's doing. It's the grossest thing for anyone to deny.
Oh yeah, the coolest thing she's teaching her kids Chinese. Yeah.
So we go into another kind of interesting moment. I have to say that, the fact that she brought up that she told her mother about the eating disorder and that it had not been revealed before was a clear indicator to me that she's really trying to bring her best foot forward and being genuine and real on this show.
Yeah.
And offering it up, because she didn't have to offer up that she had, this big conversation with her mom, where she could just say her mom already knew. And then the other thing I don't know if I can say I liked, but I did appreciate when they were talking. One of the viewers wrote in and brought up the whole thing about not seeing color,
right,
and bringing Kathy Hilton into the conversation when she made reference to Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
And I liked how Crystal didn't go into it. She didn't attack Kathy. I mean, it was just this addressing of the fact from the viewer. And I'm like, okay, what are we going to do? Rip Kathy Hilton apart because, she brought up Michael Jackson, who didn't know if he had his own issues with his color and race. I think Kathy is learning now to, what is boomer language, I think, and what is now come on, let's get on board with what's going on in the real world. But good for Crystal to not take the opportunity to bring her down on that.
I don't think anyone's going to bring down Kathy Hilton.
No.
I don't think, even if they didn't like her, if they didn't see if they didn't agree with her, then no one's gonna do that to Kathy. Yeah,
I think there's a little bit of respect, but for her as far as who she is by name, but also, I mean, I have to say she does hold herself in that way of she's the matron of the group. She's this mother kind of figure, and it's really hard to go for the jugular with the mama of the group.
And she doesn't mean any malice with anything that she's saying.
No.
She's never intentionally going to start drama. It might be a little petty thing where she has to for the show, for someone else's drama, but she's never going to say anything insulting to anyone.
And the other thing too is I'm
intentionally.
I think on that point, the one thing that I've had a lot of conversations with about the last couple years and unlearning some of the things that we have thought were good, okay to say, the Nazi color thing, or understanding that racism is embedded, especially in the privilege of white people. I think what's good about this example here is that someone like Kathy or any white person who is saying something that is off, excuse my language, color. I think it's good to know that they have remorse and they're sorry, or they're saying, you know what, I want to learn. And Kathy, you can just see it in her. She's not someone who's going to be defiant and be like that. She's somebody who actually shows.
And she said that. She was like, I felt like that was, because she talked to Garcelle, I felt like that was a very educational conversation. Yeah. I appreciated you, because I think they were trying to say, were you mad at Garcelle for calling you out on that? No, I wasn't mad at her at all. I was glad she brought it up. You're totally right about that. And I think that is the way to approach conversations, because we're all going to have to learn.
Of course. And unlearn and relearn, I
Right.
swear. Well, then we get the Glam Squad reel.
Yes.
And I love how...
It was cute.
It was cute. And I love that, we love our Rinna. And
Love her.
On our Instagram, if you're not following it, you probably should be.
At the real Seraphiend.
Yes, at the real Seraphine, we had a fun story, and we love to play with Rinna
Yes.
because she usually responds.
Yeah.
And we made a joke about having all this amazing couture in her garage.
Yeah.
And Andy straight up said to her, he's like, "Did you move that out of the garage?"
Yeah. I guess he texted her like as he was watching the show, and he's like, "You need to move this immediately, like right now."
Well, and you just told me about Dorit.
Yes. Like Dorit just had a huge robbery a couple days ago, held at gunpoint. Her 2 kids were there. PK was still in London. They were just in London. They just got back home, and they ransacked her house. Like it was.
Did anyone get caught yet?
I don't believe so, no. But it was 3 men.
That is just...
And they held her at gunpoint, and apparently she said something like, "Please don't kill me, I'm a mother." Can you imagine that trauma? I get scared if I feel like someone's following me, like I'm at night, or if I'm, that freaks me out. I can't imagine if that actually happened.
Well, when usually, when you watch the show, like Keeping Up with the Kardashians, a lot of their scenes feel very scripted. But
Yeah.
when Kim described what happened to her in Paris, I mean, I felt sick the whole time she was.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine, and that's where you run the risk as a public figure doing this
Right.
kind of stuff.
And having your whole, like, everything laid out there. I mean, we see all of Dorit's design. She is known for wearing designer head to toe. So, and she just revealed in this episode that she pays retail for everything,
Yeah.
which Andy asked her, like, basically he was trying to say, like, do you have a stylist that brings over these designs and then you basically loan it and you send it back? And she said, no, I pay retail for everything. I want to be in charge of what I wear. And she has some expensive things.
Oh my gosh, she's got amazing things. She's got amazing taste.
Yeah.
Everyone says she does on the show.
Yeah.
Then, all the women are chiming in. I mean, Kyle brought up those gorgeous earrings Mauricio gave her, and then
Yeah.
literally those were stolen out of her house. And then, with the only thing that was lighthearted about that whole conversation, I think everything kind of gave me like the I don't know, the squirmies.
The heebie-jeebies.
The heebie-jeebies, like, God, I don't want to wear anything nice when I'm out.
Yeah.
Was, I did like the talk about the Hermes bag, understanding like Crystal's friend was
Yes.
actually invited to buy from Hermes.
Yeah.
Because that's a tough one. There's a lot of ladies who want that invitation.
Yeah.
You can't just go to any Hermes store and go, I want that bag.
Yeah.
You have to be invited, and you have to keep buying them, which I'm like, when they're $10,000 to
part of
$15,000.
that's part of the allure with them.
It is. It's
Like when I first learned about the Hermes Birkin bag, I was like, why would anyone, like, why?
Yeah.
But it is like, it's a symbol.
It is. And it is a coveted bag. It's one of those bags that will die in your closet.
Yes.
It is definitely.
It's like an heirloom.
It really is. It really is. Well, we go, and then Kathy chimes in. She's like, "Well, me and Mr. Hilton swap sweaters and shells.
They're cute.
They're super cute.
I wish I knew Rick more.
I do too.
I want to see him on this, and I want to see less of Elliot or whatever.
I know.
Elliot's great.
Elliot's great, but nah.
Give me Rick and Kathy. I want to see this too, because I bet that they're just even more.
I would love
amazing.
to see him respond when she goes, "I'm having a gorilla," or
who's hunky dory.
Totally. Oh my gosh. Well, we go into kind of this last little bit here, which was Andy and the start of what we know is going to be the grilling of Erica Girardi.
Right.
Erica says, kind of supposedly off camera, like, "Oh, I better get ready. Are you gonna set me on fire?" And Andy's like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna grill you." And there's this like banter, but then in the next breath, I could see her start to like posture up right away.
Yeah.
So we go into the conversation. Andy starts out with talking about, are you keeping score with who is on your side? Erica doesn't tell who.
But she says, I remember who it.
Totally. And then she's the only part of this whole conversation. So we do the montage yet again of the ridiculous facts of he was unconscious for 12
Oh my
hours.
gosh.
He had eye surgery. The house was broken in.
The scene with the blue sweatsuit outfit where she goes on and on. I'm like, you look so weird here.
And especially, I forgot she said that the son and Tom
flipped their cars,
not in the same car, at different times, and her son flipped it 6 times.
Yeah.
I was like, 6? Okay, what is he like? You know those shows from the 1980s, like The Fall Guy and Dukes of Hazzard?
Yeah.
I'm like,
yes.
Is that who her son, the policeman, is like that?
Yeah.
I'm like, 6 times? What the hell was he doing? But it was icy weather, and it was on the way.
And that's crazy that there's not any court you would think that would be in the press.
That would be in the press. A police would file a report.
Yeah.
Anything. But
both of those instances would have been in the press.
Yeah.
For sure.
0 sense.
If you flip your car in LA, they're going to figure it out.
Makes no sense to me. Then the only part of this where I even had a moment for her was when they replayed PK, Dorit, Mauricio, and Kyle,
Yes.
and them laughing about the whole situation, the soccer comment about,
Yeah.
They're going to save Tom's ankle, but this brilliant lawyer man who's 79, no, save the ankle, not the brain.
Right. And to be I understand their thought process on it, but to see that your friends are laughing at you would be very hard to watch.
And Dorit trying to backpedal. And
Yeah.
Kyle trying to backpedal.
That was
I'm like,
awkward.
No,
That was
just
weird.
Just own it.
Yeah.
Own that you had a laugh. Own that it is ridiculous, that there are so many things wrong with this story.
Just
and
say
apologize.
that.
And just apologize.
Because it does sound buckalulu, crazy.
Totally. I'm sorry. And you can, at the end of the day, you can have a laugh with your husband. Unfortunately, theirs was recorded.
Yes.
So we wrap this up with Erica just going into this LA Times article, and then the women kind of trying to get some jabs in her about, it's not like you're Teresa Giudice to where you've defrauded the IRS. You have participated in something that has caused families with children who some of them they're in dire straits. I mean, they were owed this money a long time ago.
Yeah.
And
and the ladies are they're saying you never. She said, I do feel bad for the victims, and they said you've never said that.
Yeah,
you've never said that. They brought up her Instagram posts again, and Garcelle said that it just looks tone deaf. There was no kind of thought process behind that. So the ladies are 100% right in questioning her and asking her these things, also being worried about their own reputation. Erica is she's crazy if she thinks that these ladies shouldn't be concerned.
I agree. And she went from saying she's sorry and she should have just shut her mouth there. And then she went into all of this defensive language, and then saying, just wait and see what I'll do. You're telling me that I'm not angry enough with Tom.
She really snapped at Crystal, and I kind of felt so bad for her because she actually was on Erica's side this whole time. She stuck up for her in this whole season. But she asked her, why aren't you mad at Tom? Just a simple question. And she really snapped at her, and it was whoa. I think she's like a panicked dog. She doesn't know, not that she's a dog, but she's she's acting very panicky.
Yeah. She is. She's cornered dog.
Yeah.
I feel in a lot of ways she's reacting, not responding.
Yes.
She was responding in the beginning, but the more that they come at her, she starts to get more and more defensive.
The guilty, she doesn't have anything to say to it. So the only thing to do is to get defensive.
We're going to have to fact check next episode because I know there's going to be stuff out. I really would like to go through what her responses are to these direct questions to see what is out there to either agree or disagree with it, because she does need to checks and balance herself before I'm going to be ever in team pretty mess
Yeah.
again. I think I'm
know.
kind of out forever, but
I think she's kind of done. Like it's sad because a career is like donezo, but I think it's donezo.
my husband, when he was watching, he's like, she just is blowing herself up.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, she is.
And when someone is guilty or when someone knows something and they're trying to talk, they talk too much. You know when someone is guilty because they keep talking.
Totally.
And you're like, just calm down and shut up for a little bit. Like, you don't need to say anything.
You're so right. And now I'm conscious of that now. I'm going to be so conscious of that throughout the day now, being like, oh my gosh, if I talk too much, people will think, no, I'm kidding. I love it. Well, this episode perked me up. I'm super excited to watch the fourth one.
Me too.
I think it'll be a lot of fun. And from there, as always, I love dishing with you.
Me too.
For you guys, we've got a fun thing coming up in the works. Some of you ladies who are watching The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, you may also be in to the upcoming Christmas holiday season of movies on Hallmark and Lifetime and Netflix. And Chelsea and I are going to break down what are the themes, because there's not very many of them. And
they follow a formula.
They follow a huge formula. We're going to have a fun game that we can participate in. We'll tell you more about it. Our next episode for that will be next week. So I'm so excited to share it with you and the holiday season, because we love Christmas here over at the Seraphiend podcast. If you like what you just listened to, please hit the like and subscribe button below, and we will see you ho-ho-hos. Just kidding. You aren't hoes. You've got my heart. Later. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.